Hi, welcome to Ocean Yemi. Let me see if you can hear me. Let me just check to see if you can hear me first. Just check in, see if you can hear me. Um, because I want to make sure this guy. Okay. Because. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about um, Earl Smith. Um, he was found hanging in Albany, New York. Now, the reason why I play Strange Fruit because I think there was quite a few of these type of crimes. I'm going to call them crimes that was still going on. So there is a history to all of this as well as now in the present, and the fact that it is happening in 2025. I mean, fair enough. There is a lot that's changed. People want things to get back to the old, the old ways of doing things, or however they see it. There is a live that I got to do that is yeah. But today I'm going to talk about Mr. Earl Smith. Now, the reason why I'm talking about him because there is no explanation to why he was found hanging from the tree. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a collective of stuff. I'm going to all add it onto this video, onto this live, so that we can see who this man is. Because according to them, right, they said that how he unalived himself. But anyways, let's just play the. Let me play the. Let me see if it's gonna play. Is it gonna play?
1 News. 1 News. By Cedric Big Said Thornton. June 20th, 2025. Black man found hanging from tree ruled suicide by Albany police, but residents doubtful. The unidentified man, 58, was discovered on Wednesday, June 18th. Police in Albany, New York, claim a black man found hanging from a tree was a suicide. According to the Times-Union, the man was discovered June 18th, on Westerlo Street. Police officers were called around 8 a.m. When they arrived, they pronounced the 58-year-old man dead. There were reports of a video circulating online showing the man's condition, but it has since been taken down, according to the newspaper. The man has not been identified. At this time, based upon preliminary investigation, the circumstances appear to be consistent with suicide and no evidence to suggest that the incident is criminal in nature, the police department said in a written statement. News One reports that there are doubts over the police's ruling from residents and people claiming to be family members of the deceased. There's been skepticism over it being a cut and dry suicide given how little information has been released about the incident, News One reports. In fact, most reporting on the case has come from locals doing their own digging into what happened. Several neighborhood residents have posted on TikTok that the unidentified individual was a man named Earl Smith. He had been baptized recently, according to a GoFundMe page organized by Melissa Saunders, who writes that Smith was her uncle. In loving memory of my uncle, Earl Smith, the page reads. Earl was a husband, a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a brother, who was often the life of the party. He loved to sing and dance. Earl was a hard worker, that loved and adored his family. Just recently getting baptized. Just last Sunday. He had many plans and looked forward to so much. For some reason, we are here. So we're raising funds to cover funeral expenses, and memorial service. Your support would mean the world to us during this difficult time. Related content, Ananda Lewis, beloved MTV icon and advocate, dead at 52. Advertisement. Advertisement. 1. Suicide. 2. Albany. 3. We look a decade ahead so you can create value today. Black man found hanging from tree ruled suicide by Albany police, but
they said it was they said that how he unalived himself, but what they said that how he got pow in the head 4 times, and which doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. Now, right, he was so far up the tree. All right, he's so far up the tree. There's a video. When you see in the video, he's far up the tree. He's not like, yeah. He's just so far up. That's all I can say on that part. Well, from what I see, the sad part is that how the family is saying that how he was such a fun-loving man. He enjoyed his life.
Yeah.
I think, hold on, right? He he enjoyed his life as well, which makes no sense to why he would unalive himself. And the young lady that I did post up earlier that same day when I did the live. Hold on, let me take stuff off the right. When I did the live, she's also in contact with the family. Now we know there's a history of this things that happen. So I ain't really nothing. It doesn't make sense to me because of where the body was as well. It doesn't make sense to me. So what I'm also gonna play is this young lady that I played before. I know this is probably gonna be a very quick live, but it doesn't matter. However it is, it's trying to get the word.
We are discussing an update on the Black man who was found hanging from a tree in Albany, New York. That's right. I am currently in contact with his goddaughter, and she is checking right now with the wife of the deceased man, Earl Smith, to see if it's okay to get us in contact. I also was able to locate the son's Facebook, and he even noted that he does not believe his father committed suicide. Now, while we are not sure if this is true or not, whether it's suicide or if it was racially motivated, we are going to find out one way or another. And if you stay tuned to the end of this video, you will see the screenshot of the son claiming that it wasn't a suicide. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please make sure you like, comment, share. I don't care if you follow. Honestly, I don't. Make sure you get this story out specifically to everyone around the world. Thank you.
That was the one I did the other day. So they're saying, they're definitely finding it suspicious. I'm gonna see if I can find some more to the conversation because it makes no sense. Oh, they're taking off some of the videos as well. They're taking off some of the videos so you can't even see the videos. Let me go to the YouTube. So let's see, we can get more information on what's going on. Oh, can't use that one. Let me see. Someone's got more information. All right. Let me share the screen.
Was in Albany, New York, and they say he was hanging from a tree, and they basically saying it was marked as a suicide. But his family, they don't believe that. They believe that it was foul play involved, and they basically are looking for more evidence to see if that's what really happened or not. And it's just a tragic time for on the family at this moment. With everything going on, it's a tragic time. So condolences to their family and Earl Smith as well. But this situation is definitely something that's not normal. And I guess it just has certain people in Albany, New York, and people who caught, you know, who the story, caught, it caught people's attention. So you know, it's definitely a tragedy. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation right here in the comments below. They saying that it's not a lot. Um, this conversation isn't talked about.
It needs to be spoken about because there were others before. There was one 5 years ago with a young man. I don't think they found out who did it, but seems to be quite a few of them, quite a few of these types of crimes that has happened. So they need to investigate it, because if it gets swept under the carpet, that alone will tell you what's going on, because there's corruption and all sorts of things going on in certain states. Yeah, that's what I think personally.
Currently, a lot. Um, just by the things that they were saying, how they found him unalive, kind of like hanging or whatnot, is a sensitive subject. Too many people, then I think they had like pictures or something they had to take down or whatever. So, stuff like that is extremely sad. And then it's kind of like, people, different people post about it. So, the family probably have to, kind of like relive it. But it goes.
So, what did they say? Black man found hanging from tree, ruled suicide by Albany police, but residents doubtful. The unidentified man, 58, was discovered on Wednesday, June 18th, remembering George Floyd 5 years later, featuring activist Lizzie E. Redmond. Police in Albany, New York, assert that a black man found hanging from a tree was a suicide. As reported by the Times Union, the man was found on June 18th on West Low Street. Authorities were alerted around 8 a.m. Upon their arrival, they declared the 58-year-old man deceased. There were claims of a video circulating online depicting the man's state, but it has been removed. According to the newspaper, the man remains unidentified.
Was a black man found hanging from tree, ruled suicide by Albany police, but residents doubtful. The unidentified man, 58, was discovered on Wednesday, June 18th, remembering George Floyd 5 years later, featuring activist Leslie E. Redmond. Police in Albany, New York, assert that a black man found hanging from a tree was a suicide. As reported by the Times Union, the man was found on June 18th on West Thurlow Street. Authorities were alerted around 8 a.m. Upon their arrival, they declared that the 58-year-old man deceased, that he was deceased. There were claims of a video circling online depicting the man's state, but it has been removed. According to the newspaper, the man remains identified.
And it does look really horrible because the way how he was hanging, it wasn't, very high up, and yeah, so
But they were saying his name was Earl Smith. As far as his family, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure you tap that subscribe button, press that like button. But like I said, from what they were saying, as far as it been reported, it's been marked as a suicide. So either way, whether it was foul play involved or suicide, it's a sad situation. It was somebody loved one, somebody's, if I'm not mistaken, he was a grandfather. Obviously, he was somebody's son, and people loved him. So, either way, however the situation transpired, it's just it's just a sad thing.
hold on, I'm gonna see if I find more on Earl. See if they did more on him. Because some videos cannot be played. Let me see. Because there were one before that, a young guy, about 6 years ago, I think they said. So I'm trying to see if I could find more information on the man. If there's any more information, because some videos cannot be played. Let me see. I'm gonna have to play this, guys. Then this was 2 days ago. So this is Richard Taylor. So I'm gonna play Richard Taylor, and then we're gonna hear what he says. Hold on, let me pull him up on the screen.
I've not been able to find any mainstream news videos on this.
Well, they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't talk about it. You know why? Because they don't want to start what happened the last time with George Floyd, you see. They don't want to start something going on. They don't want to start things happening. That's why they're not saying nothing. That's why it's only a few people's talking about this, which is a shame, because a lot more people should be talking about it.
Only thing I've been able to find is some grassroots media articles on it, but I've also found this TikTok video, and I'm going to play this TikTok video to give you some insight on what people who are on the ground in Albany are finding out about this situation.
Hello, everyone. I'm back with an update on the man who was found hanging from a tree in Albany, New York. That's right. If you look at the screen, you will see there's a screenshot from the man's niece. According to the screenshot, she says, "This is my uncle, and again, he did not hang himself, let alone have a red flag on him. He was a happy soul, There are cameras where this happened, and that is completely true. And police never asked to see the video. What are they covering up? That video was.
Well, one thing you forget that in these parts of certain places, they have police corruption. Everybody works together. So if there is cameras, right, obviously they're going to hide the footage. They're going to hide certain stuff. If it is to do with certain people, if it's to do with certain organizations, that's normally what happens in most cases when it comes to certain crimes. They're all hoots with each other. They're all in bed together. And that's what I believe with this one, because before I find a whole particular. And now, like the guy said, it's only grassroots that is talking about it and TikTok. Right? And it's kind of sad because the man probably was like well known in Albany as well. He was a well-known person. Everybody knew him, all this. So to be only to a marginalized of media, it's really sucks. These sort of things should be spoken about, particularly to highlight certain stuff as well. The same thing with the twins when there was in a sundown state. And what happened to the twins? There should be some kind of outcry. You know what I mean?
Will tell us everything we need to know. Well, you heard it here, folks. Listen, keep reposting, keep sharing this video. Let's not let this go under the radar, under the bridge, whatever you want to call it, because this is real and this community news, and this is real. Much for tuning.
All right, and so shout out to the sister Fair Use on TikTok, getting in contact with the man's family, and she has a couple of more videos. You can check it out. I think it's her 20, but she is getting information from the family. Like, no, my grandfather was not on the spectrum of unaliving himself, and there was no red flags in his behavior. Now, once again, this is in the middle of the city, and I'll read some of this article to you. It says a call was made around 8 a.m. last Wednesday, and officers found a body hanging from a tree on Westerlo Street. Videos circulated on social media showing the body, but were quickly taken down. When a black man is hanging from a tree, the first thought is lynching, given America's sordid history with the practice, but local police were quick to push against that narrative. Now, here's what the police are saying. At this time, based upon preliminary investigation, the circumstances appear to be consistent with self-unaliving and no evidence to suggest that the...
But yet still the guy was so high up. How was he able to put himself so high up if he was pow 4 times in the head, right? He's pow 4 times in the head. How is... Right, the tree was pretty tall. From what I've seen, it's very high, high up. High he was put, right? So, like, it's like they're covering their tracks. They're covering their tracks. You know, they're trying to not say, oh, well, like, it wasn't like this, it's like this. They're trying to turn the minds and say, so people can think, oh, okay, he unalived himself. If the family's saying that how he's a happy man, he's happy, he's not on the spectrum or anything, he's not got something going on, but yet still this 58-year-old or 59-year-old is find high up in the tree. Interesting, isn't it?
The incident is criminal in nature. Statement from Albany police reads. Now, doesn't that seem familiar with all other statements from all other police around the country when this happens? The latest is Mario Kazers down in Charlotte. Everybody knows about Javion McGee. Even this article mentions Javion McGee in their quick rush to say that the person
Protect your loved ones and assets with a professional.
himself. Now, locals have taken to social media and TikTok to express their disbelief at how little coverage the hanging has received in the social media. There's been skepticism over it being a cut and dry self-unalivement, given how little information has been released about the incident. In fact, most reporting on the case has come from locals doing their own research. Now, once again, it is local people, just like the lady said in the video. Nobody is reporting about this. Now, anytime that something like this happened in the middle of the city and there's such suspicious circumstances, you would think that some major news outlet would cover it. But of course, as the lady said, and as I'm telling you now, I have not found any major news outlet to cover this. And even a local resident says, looking at the comments on TikTok show that several Albany residents have expressed disbelief that the story hasn't received more coverage. I work in Albany and live in the area and haven't heard a single thing about this until now. How is nobody saying anything about it? Exactly. Now, here they go on to mention our dear brother, Javion McGee. In recent years, there have been several suspicious hangings of Black people that police...
Which is what I was saying. When I went to look for this particular one, loads of others popped up on my screen. So Javion was one of them. And I was like, wow. So his one was 5 years ago. So there's been a series of these type of things happening around probably different states, but same result. Hardly anything much, hardly any information. Not on the the bigger media. So yeah, I find it very interesting too.
Label self-unalivement, but have left family members questioning whether or not they were lynchings. Last year, Javion McGee was found hanging from a tree in North Carolina, and his death was labeled self-unalivement.
Okay, my correction. Last year this one happened, but there was one 5 years ago as well. I don't know whether it's the same guy he's talking about, but there was one, and he was quite young, early 20s or late 20s, and he was also found unalived.
Alignment by police after video showed him buying a utility rope at local Walmart. His family hired a private investigator and independent medical examiner to see if their findings match the official police report. And we all know what happened with that case. Once again, we were not able to get enough major people covering this story. And so here is another story, once again, with all of the racial animosity, the racial climate, also all of the things going on overseas, all of the things going on in the media as far as entertainment news. These things slip under the radar. And this is what I think are major distractions where, you know, we are distracted about so many other things when major things like this are happening in broad daylight where cameras are around. Think about it. Once again, there are cameras in that areas, and they said that police have refused to look at the cameras. Why are they not looking at the cameras? Once again, this is 2000.
I was even going to ask the same question. Why aren't they looking at the cameras? Why? That's what we want to know. Why are you not looking at the cameras? Why do you not want no one answers to find out who did this to this man? Because it does look like what it is, like what he said. It looks like a lynching.
2025 cameras are everywhere, even satellite cameras. Somebody knows what happened to our dear brother, Earl Smith. Now, Earl Smith was laid to rest on June the 19th in New Corner Road, Colony. Now, Earl Smith was born in 1966. He was raised in Roosevelt, New York. He enjoyed running, track, and music. His favorites include Ain't Nothing But a G Thing by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Return of the Mac, and I Got Five on it. He loved to dance, play pranks, play spades, where he would often cheat. His excuses were always,
and he sounds such a fun guy.
no, you just can't play. Please don't ask him a question he deems stupid, because he will give you his infamous line. What, are you retarded? And don't you dare blow your horn around him nor drive slowly, or you'd hear him say, your horn blows. To you, man with a great sense of humor, it seems like, which always made us laugh. He had no filter and said whatever.
Sounds like a very fun man. Sounds like a man who lived his life. So why would he want to unalive himself? It was such a man who's about life. He sounds like a man who's fun loving, about life. He have a fun character. Right, he has his one-liners and everything else. Why would he unalive himself? That is the question.
Whatever came to his mind. Earl was just an all-around joyful person. Most of all, he loved his family. He leaves the treasure, his wife, children, grandchildren, all of those people. Earl was a jack of all trades, from mechanic work to construction work. He was a hard worker, and whatever he set his mind to, he
hard working man.
Did. If you needed your car fixed, he could do that. If you needed him to watch you plant, however, you were better off giving him a dog. He leaves behind his sweet Duchess, which is his dog I think they showed in the picture. In his earlier years, Earl was known as Eazy-E, but the new generation knew him as Black Pearl. But he indeed will always be our brother E. I want to offer my sincere condolences to the family. May brother E rest in peace. But this is another amazing incident where 13 days later, and there's no major news outlets covering the story, only TikTok videos. And this once again speaks of those things that happen throughout the years in this country. And once again, this is our dear brother Earl Smith. You heard people talk about him. This does not look like a person who will do this to himself. He seems beloved, joyful, with a great sense of humor, and he was 58 years old. Black man coming up in America, done made it 58 years. I'm pretty sure he's going to make it another 12 to 22 years, as the Bible says, 70 years. If you're lucky, 80 years. That's how many years you get on this earth. And so, once again, I don't know how the police can just automatically rule these things as such when there's no evidence that these things are as their rule. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this story in the comments. Once again, condolences to the family of Mr. Earl Smith, our brother Eazy-E, Black Pearl, whatever we call him.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Taylor House Public Productions. Because when I'm looking, I can't find nothing. I literally cannot find anything. I've only found a GoFundMe, which I'm going to put up now. Hold on, let me put up the GoFundMe and the TikTok videos, and that's it. Nothing else. Not even a newsreel, really. Maybe there is a newsreel, but it's not. It's like they haven't. There's no autopsy, no nothing. No autopsy, no nothing. Right. So it's just okay. This is what's happened. All that is clear cut, right? So they have a GoFundMe for Earl Smith's, celebrate Earl Smith's life and legacy. In loving memory of my uncle Earl Smith, Earl was a husband, a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a brother who was often the life of the party. He loved to sing, dance. Earl was a hard worker that loved and adored his family. Just recently getting baptized just last Sunday. So I feel that's where he was reading from. He had so many plans, so much he was looking forward to. For some reason, we are here. We are raising funds to cover the funeral expenses and memorial service. Your support would mean the world to this difficult time. And that's him with the cat. So I just find it it's an iffy one. It stinks. There's something iffy about it. It doesn't make sense at all. Especially the pow on the back of the head. Sounds similar to Peter Spencer in a kind of way. Though Peter Spencer wasn't hung, he was pow when he went out with his co-worker, and in turn they started hunting him. So, like I said, with the history of what's going on with America, as I played Nina Simone, Strange Fruit, because I played this the other day, but I played Billie Holiday. And my condolences to the family, because America's history is about that. The unaliving of people, whatever circumstances, and it's how far as well, and you know, it's sad because the guy sounded like he was the life of the party. Why would someone who is like would want to, like, it doesn't, even though, like they say, people can mask it, but they should be TV. Even this day and age with CCTVs around face recognition, all sorts of stuff, you know. I mean, like, we've been talking about this stuff for a long time. It's been around for how long? And they said that they cannot tap into the cameras, because they can tap into the cameras from, I think, their terminals, or they can get things sent to their terminals or whatever. So my thing is, why haven't they looked into it, or why haven't they found out who, unless there is some link to it, unless he's known to them, you know, unless it's a Sonia Massey all over again. Well, like, Sonia Massey was also had a history with this era to where she came from, and she was known to certain peoples there, and it's like the thing was set up in such a way, the way how the policeman and her had links. So I'm trying to think that this stinks bad. It smells bad. It smells bad. Why haven't they looked into it? Why isn't other news covering it? Why is it swept under the cameras? Why haven't Albany police done the due diligence and found out what is going on, or what is what? So, with all that said, the reason why I just made this whole video about was there is yes, there is, and I hope they get justice. But however, in this climate, which is what's going on in the Americas right now, as well as the Europe, right? We know that how people are on some crazy things. We're seeing it in the cyber world. We're seeing it in light all over, and it's just men like this is hardworking and loved by their family. They want answers. So I'm gonna put the GoFundMe underneath the video so you can go and see or donate if you wish, because once again, right, I feel like they don't want a whole marching situation going on and stuff like that, because people are gonna want answers. So yeah, So like I said, I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet. Comment underneath, what do you think happened? They're saying that he unalived himself, so-called unalived himself, so-called quotation marks. I don't know. Don't think so somehow. But anyways, please leave a comment underneath the video and tell me what you think. And I'll see you in the next one. And yeah. All right. So have a great day. Be safe out there. And you and your family, you and yours, take care of you and yours. Right. My condolences to Earl Smith family. Right. My condolences deeply. Okay. With that said, I'll see you. Take care. Bye.